everybody. Welcome to our webinar. You are attending the Coactive Coach Training Path to Coaching Success webinar. We'll take a moment and settle in while folks are joining us here. I'm so excited to spend some time with all of you here today. I'm Emily Peterson. I am the B2B account specialist here on the sales team at Coactive. I've got several awesome people to introduce you to today. We've got Kat Ramp, who is behind the scenes. She's running our chat function and our Q&A function. So more from Kat in a little bit. You're also going to meet a couple of Coactive coaches here momentarily. So Ken and Joni, if you want to pop on and say a quick hello, feel free.
Hello, welcome everyone.
Hi, glad to be here. Welcome to the webinar.
Thanks so much. We're going to hear a lot more from Ken and Joni here in just a few minutes. Awesome. Wow, there's so many people popping on. This is very exciting. I love it. I've got just a couple bits of housekeeping information as we get started today. Take a look at the bottom of your screen. You have a closed captioning option. If that is important to you, please feel free to utilize that tool. If you don't mind, I would love to test out our chat functionality. So if you wouldn't mind popping in the chat and let us know, where are you calling in from today? We'd love to know. Also, feel free to drop in there. What are you most hoping to get out of today's webinar? We would love the information. Oh, awesome. I love Ann Arbor. My husband and I talk about retiring there someday. Oh, California. Beautiful. Chicago. So I am about 2.5 hours west of Chicago on the Iowa-Illinois border. So awesome. Hi, neighbor. London, Canada. Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you all for that info. We appreciate it. Let's see here. I have a poll question for all of you that kind of harkens back to what I said a moment ago. Like, what are you most hoping to get out of our webinar today? I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll question. It says, what is the primary reason that you are here today? So if you could pick one of those options and vote for me, I'd certainly appreciate it. Typically, we see that a lot of people want to become a professional coach, but perhaps you're exploring a career change. Maybe your company sent you here today and said, hey, go check this out and let us know what it's all about. I love watching those numbers come in. Thank you. Okay, yeah, so over 50% of you so far say, I want to become a professional coach. Well, you're in the right place. Take one more moment or two. If anybody hasn't answered that poll question yet, I would love to hear from you. Awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end that. I'll share the results with you all for a moment so you can see. So it looks like almost 60% of you here today say, I want to become a professional coach. Well, you're in very good company. You're in good hands, and you're going to see some Coactive magic here shortly. So get excited about that. All right, let me pull that down off the screen. Awesome. I do need to just sort of plant a seed for all of you. If you think that you might want to be coached yourself in a live demo, start thinking about that now. Start marinating on that idea. More to come on that a few slides from now. And then lastly, last little bit of housekeeping before we dive in. It seems like our participants have kind of leveled out. I think we have just about everybody. I would love for you to direct your attention to the chat versus the Q&A features. So feel free to use the chat throughout the webinar today. But if you do have a question, a specific question, I would love for you to drop it in the Q&A that you'll see at the bottom center of your screen. Feel free to hold on to your questions for the first several minutes, because I assume that lots of the questions you have in mind will probably get answered here throughout the first several slides. But that said, if you do have a question, drop it in that Q&A at the bottom center of your screen. Kat will work on typing out some answers to some of you. Some of the questions we'll answer live at the end of the webinar today, but we encourage you to, yes, please get those questions out there so that we can make sure that you get the information that you came for today. And on that note, let's dive into it. So we know that professional coaching is a growing industry. We know that there are gains happening in all different niches of the market. The trend is showing that the growth is not only strong, but will continue to stay strong. And I was hoping to share a couple of cool stats with you. So if you take a look at the left side of your screen, it says the personal life coaching segment is projected to surpass $10 billion, billion with a B, globally by 2035. So it's showing that this profession is being adopted across all different demographics and geographies and is really making an impact. In the center, it says specialty segments are growing with double-digit gains. So niches such as health and wellness, relationship coaching, financial coaching, those are anticipated to keep growing even faster, with some specialties showing double-digit growth year over year, which is just awesome, particularly if you already have a specialty in mind for yourself. And then on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see it says that executive coaching is expected to nearly triple over the next 10 years, with 30% of all Fortune 500 companies leveraging executive coaching as part of their leadership development. They know that coaching works. They know the impact that coaching has within their business for employee satisfaction, employee retention. So we're seeing that as a growing segment as well. You'll notice there's a QR code here throughout the presentation on most every slide, I think. If you want to go ahead and grab that with your camera, you can get directly connected with one of the sales advisors here at Coactive. You can sign up for a time on our calendars to chat with us. We would love to hear from you, especially if you have additional questions that we either don't get to or that you'd like more information on while we're here on the webinar today. So now we talked about coaching in the broad sense, but now to bring it home to Coactive, Coactive Training Institute was a pioneer of the professional coaching industry, and it continues to be considered the gold standard in coach training today. We have been in business for over 30 years. We've trained over 200,000 coaches worldwide. We have approximately 300 faculty members from across the globe who serve as our instructors for our courses. And like I said a few moments ago, you're actually going to get to witness some of that Coactive magic here today. That said, we have two of our certified trained faculty members here with us. So Ken and Joni, who you met a few moments ago, they're going to be popping back on in just a moment for a live demo. They're going to talk you through a bit of the process. You're going to get to spend about 20 or 25 minutes with them here. And so I would love to, at this time, turn over facilitation to Joni and Ken. Please join us and take it away.
Thank you so much, Emily, and
Absolutely.
welcome to all of you. Ken and I are really glad to have you. Ken, should we give him a little introduction about who we are first?
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in. So I'm Ken Oakley. I actually typed this in the chat earlier on. I'm in Carlsbad, California, San Diego area. I am a master certified coach through the International Coach Federation. And I basically do a combination of coaching and corporate training, all around leadership and about having people be their best and kind of reaching their dreams, which is super fun. I discovered coaching about 25 years ago, maybe longer, Joni. Time is going by. And it has been a complete joy for me. I do it in 3 languages, German, English, and Spanish. And it makes it extra fun. And I know you use other languages too, Joni.
I don't actually.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
No.
never
Well,
then.
well, I suppose if the language of Coactive is a language, maybe I speak 2 languages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Ken?
No. What about you?
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Joni Marr. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada. And I came to coaching, or I found Coactive in the year 2000. I've been on faculty since 2003, actually. And I'm also a master certified coach. With basically, that means that we've been coaching a long time. We have lots of hours. I work half-time in North America and half-time in Asia, which is why Ken probably you thought that I speak another language, but I do everything in English. I work with executives and I run large leadership programs for organizations going through transformation. And I found my dream job, I will say. So I used to be a journalist, And like many people, everybody's got a before coaching story, which we bring into our coaching, and it infuses how we become a coach.
Mm.
So more about that a little bit later, but I think that's good for right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks. And sorry to presume,
No,
speak some other language, but how
not at all.
I have to say it is super interesting to hear that you do half your work and spend half your time in Asia. That's really amazing. I think one of the joys of coactive coaching is it can fit with a lot of other work as well. So you can do just coaching. A lot of people just do coaching full time, and a lot of people kind of use it as part of the work that they do. Right? They might do some training work, like we said about the various niches. That Emily was saying, people might combine it with financial work that they do, or health and wellness work, or any other number of specialties out there.
Absolutely. And what Ken and I are doing right now is called like co-leading. And the way that we lead everything that we do in Coactive, every program that you might come to, is that we are not scripting anything, although we know exactly where we're heading in this webinar and what we want to present to you, but it's all live,
Mhm.
unscripted.
Yeah, yeah, that's part of the we kind of do it together. Um,
Mhm.
Beautiful. So we when we coach somebody, we design a little bit how do we want to be with them? How do they want us to be? And we're doing that a little bit with you here in a tiny little way, letting you know that nothing's scripted. But we also want to mention confidentiality. So we
Yes.
love people. When we coach people, usually we hold confidentiality. Here's what's going to happen today, though. Joni is going to coach one of you. Joni and I just talked about it. We decided she would do the coaching, and since this is being recorded, it's not confidential. So we just want to let you know it's being recorded, not confidential. So when you volunteer, or if you volunteer, and we'd love to have some of you volunteer to be coached today, just know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you. And when Ken is talking about designing our alliance, and you see that on the slide there, what that means is we're explicitly setting expectations.
Mhm.
So we do things transparently, so no one is surprised. Because when we're working with somebody in that very final bullet point context, is that we are going to ask you to bring something real and something that's up for you, not resolved, because you really can't role play coaching. Okay, so we really want whoever's going to volunteer to come forward and be willing to share honestly and authentically whatever your issue is. And we're going to coach for about 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah. So it's not super long, but it will give you what we want to do is give you an idea of what is coactive coaching. And what we found is it's much easier to just show you than to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I see Kat has written in the chat, if you'd like to volunteer to be coached, um, please drop a raised hand. Let us know. Type in the chat. You could either send a message to Kat or in general in the chat. So I see somebody there has said, "Coach me." And also, here's one other thing. Normally, if you had Joni coach you, you'd have to pay a bunch of money. So it's a chance to get some real coaching. Joni, I'd love to have you coach me. Joni and I have done some coaching with each other in the past, but
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
love that opportunity.
Okay. Kat, how are we doing there? Maybe you got, something going on in the background there, and you're, trying to figure out who we're going to work with.
We have a couple of people volunteered.
Yeah.
3 people.
Yeah.
We're going to let Kat do the choosing and choose who gets to be coached here.
Yeah. And Ken, what do you love most about being on faculty here and doing the work we do?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is the opportunity to meet lots of different people, right? Um, and worldwide, like I've gotten to travel and things like that. And also, even in the age of Zoom and with COVID, I've done an awful lot just from home, but I get to work with people all over. It's super fun. That's probably
Speaking
what
of
I like.
meeting, sorry, Ken, to interrupt you there, but speaking
Yeah.
of meeting somebody, it looks like Linda has showed up. We're going to meet somebody new here.
Hey, Linda, welcome. I'm going to let the two of you so Linda, you volunteered to be coached, right? Thank you so much. Yay, thanks
My
for being
heart is
here.
racing, but I'm going to lean into this.
Yeah,
Okay.
fantastic. So, Joni, I'm going to go off camera and let just the two of you be on here and
Okay.
because here's what
Great.
I'd like to know though. Would you like me to tell you something about time, to hold time for you?
Yes. So could you tell me, just, bring your voice on and let me know when we're at 10 minutes as a time check. I'll try and wrap it up just shortly after that.
Right. So I'll just come in and say 10 minutes and
Yeah, that'd be great. And
beautiful.
for the rest of you who are observing Linda and I, you don't get to just sit back and eat popcorn. You got a job to do too. Okay.
Right.
We're going to ask you to observe what I'm doing because Ken is going to guide you through a debrief afterwards about what coactive coaching is.
Yeah,
Anything?
so maybe
Yeah.
I was just going to say maybe make some note of skills that you see Joni using because I'm going to ask you and have you type in the chat afterwards. Please don't type in the chat actually while the demo is going on because we want to be able to let Linda and Joni just be together. However, make a note for yourself, scrap a sheet of paper or something. What skills do you see Joni using? All right.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, Ken.
Well, with that, I am going to let the two of you go here and turn myself
Okay.
off.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Joni.
Thank you for volunteering. I'm just going to change my view so that I can see you up close here. Excuse me. Just getting over COVID. But I promise I won't pass it on to you.
No worries.
Yeah. So thank you for volunteering. Um, it sounds like you're a person who is willing to jump outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
I've
so,
been put into a lot of situations where I have to be. Yes.
okay. So just for the rest of the group, this is not set up. I don't know Linda. We've never met before. So if you're going to trust me for the next 10 minutes to work on some topic that's real and up for you, what do you need from me so you can trust me?
Ooh. Um, I think what just comes to mind is just hearing my story and maybe repeating it back so I can hear it from a different perspective.
Ah,
Um, yeah.
and could I do that in a way that might not be your typical way of me working with you? Are you open to that?
Yes.
Okay. Here's what I will do. I will be non-judgmental and curious. I'll be open to hearing you. Um, and I might use some different skills so that you feel I'm reflecting back what you're saying.
Okay.
That work for you?
Yeah,
Okay. And you have complete agency. If at any time something's not working for you, will you let me know?
I will.
Okay. Okay. So if you had 10 minutes with someone who could be your thought partner or your sparring partner, what would you want to work on today?
Well, should I share the situation I'm kind of
Yes,
working?
that would be great. If you could give me a bottom line, sort of like what's the nugget?
Okay. I think in the end of this conversation, I would like to kind of walk away with a maybe decision on how I want to show up in my workplace, especially with my new boss.
Perfect. Perfect. That's all I need, believe it or not.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And so how will you know that our coaching is successful?
I will know when I feel like I have something that I can agree to walk out of this conversation with, and it's something that I can actually do. Perhaps that's maybe the big ask, but also what I would measure that as.
Okay. Let's try that. So, Linda, if you could show up the way that you want to show up at work, what would be your ideal?
If I could show up the way that I wanted the way I wanted at work, it would be to be my complete authentic self. To be gracious and understanding and know that my impact is just greater than in this moment in time with this person.
It sounds like maybe more bigger picture thinking.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. And what is gracious?
Um, gracious in just I'm gonna start revealing the situation, but um the person that has been selected to become my boss is less experienced than me, but was selected because she's been with the organization longer. And so now she's leading our team. And so there's a little bit of wrestling of feeling like I'm coaching her to be in her position versus her leading the team. And so there's this kind of mixed feeling of like, what is my place versus the other person's place?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're doing
Um,
this with your hands.
yeah.
What is that?
It's kind of like this power struggle that I've been witnessing of
Ah,
like having a peer become the boss and
yes.
reimagining what that relationship is and the
Mhm.
energy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you reimagine, because she's not here, excuse me, let's reimagine in a way that works for you. What would that be?
Oof. Um, in a way that would work for me is that she is open and willing to listen and is more collaborative versus trying to take information and then running it up the ladder, so to speak. Um,
What's
yeah,
hard?
and that
What's hard for you about that?
um I think it just feels like a pattern that I witnessed in my previous boss where she gate kept a lot of information from the leaders up top. And the result was that the leader, the CEO, didn't understand what our team did, and was not aware of our capabilities. And in this shift in leadership, it feels like the same gatekeeping is happening.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah. And it's a
Okay.
very small workplace that I'm with. So I'm just like one layer removed from the CEO.
Oh, I see. Okay. And
Yeah.
yet that person doesn't have visibility, and you're only one
No.
layer away.
Yeah.
Okay. So could I ask you perhaps a provocative question?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at you, Linda, how are you showing up with two different leaders that the same thing's happening?
Oh. How am I showing up? I've explicitly said I'm working on talking and speaking honestly and authentically with her in this new scenario that we are in. I've talked about how our power dynamics literally have shifted, and I'm figuring out what that means to speak truth to power. What does that honesty look like? And so how I'm showing up is I'm really trying to lean to the discomfort of like knowing that she is now my boss and there's some things I have to keep versus share from her with her, when she as opposed to when she was my peer. And so yeah, just doing my best to show up authentically with her, but also struggling with this like this relationship change. Like she's not my friend that I could talk to.
Yes. There's a
Yeah.
whole new, if I could use our terminology, designed alliance that needs to happen, an explicit recreating of the relationship.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Ah,
And struggling with like what is my position in helping her become a better leader, because she has less experience in leading teams, and so I'm like, is that my place? I don't know. Or do I
ah.
like act as just a team member, like it's like do I coach her or be a team member? So it's that struggle.
Well, what do you think is the best for the greater good?
Ooh. I think what comes to mind is for the greater good, just coming from a place of we're all in this together. And I will pull on different hats as needed to kind of help navigate her and myself through this and know that it's also a new dynamic that she's dealing with, kind of bringing me back to that graciousness that I'm hoping to show up with.
Mhm. Interesting, because when you say that, it sounds like you're a little maybe tentative about it. Graciousness.
Yeah, I think
Isn't
it's
yeah.
hitting upon, I guess, expectations that I'm having of someone who leads me, I guess, in a team. And so it's just a strange position to be in where I'm part of that making of this leader versus that leader came with a ton of experience and is guiding and teaching me a new path that's
Uh-huh.
beyond, my awareness. And so I think that's what I'm realizing right now.
Okay. And in this realization, what are you learning?
I'm learning this is maybe what a mid-career path looks like. I'm no longer early in my career, so I have a lot more experience. And maybe this is the shift in dynamic where it's a little bit of both, where I'm going to be led into new paths, but also I'm part of that creation of that path.
Oh, interesting. So a different use of agency and a different expectation than you had expected.
Yeah.
So where is this new growth path? Because you said you're used to being grown or you had an expectation for that.
Yeah.
Where's this new
Um,
path that you didn't realize?
I think this path is like this path of the where I'm able to kind of step into and like really honor the experiences I've had and bring it forth in this space and be in this figuring out phase with her in this dynamic that we're moving forward with. I think it's partly like trusting my experiences.
Mhm.
um yeah.
Mm. I think I might hear you saying actually stepping into your own leadership, owning your,
Yeah,
okay. And you
and figuring
smile.
out what that means for me.
Okay. What do you want it to mean for you?
Oh. Joni, your questions. What does this leadership mean for me? Um,
You get to choose.
yeah, I think that's the thing that's kind of like giving me pause. And
Mhm.
I think in this moment in time, what I want it to mean is that I am seen as a collaborative leader, um, that I am willing to dive in and take risks with whoever I work with, and I encourage that for whoever I lead one day. Yeah,
I like what you just said there. For who I lead one day. So this is career development for you.
yeah.
Ah. So what's the step that you're going to take after this little session we've had, this micro session?
And then
Yeah,
10 minutes, 10
Thank
minutes.
you, Ken.
um, the step that I'm going to take.
Yeah. For your growth, your leadership, and your relationship with this new leader.
I think in identifying the whole risk taking and being collaborative, I want to journal about that and think about like how does that show up and how I can lean into that more in these moments where I feel like there's that struggle again, and really remembering what leader I want to be known for and be, kind of like becoming the leader that I want to see from to be led by is what I'm
Yes.
realizing. Um, and then just continuing to have these conversations with her as openly and authentically as I can. Yeah.
You are authentic. I mean, I've seen it here in 10 minutes. You're also a personal learner and you're open minded with a growth mindset. I see that because just in 10 minutes, you've actually come to a new realization. You started off doing this, like a power struggle. And then you said about being collaborative, you did this. You can be that gracious leader, that gracious collaborator. And if you were to become this, what do you think will happen at work? What's the impact you'll have? Then we'll wrap it up.
Um, I think the impact would be, I think it would shift the dynamic of not only the relationship with my boss, but my team members who are also figuring out what their relationship is looking like with her. Um, and I think we can perhaps not put to rest, but like move past this like struggle of like, what is it that we are, and begin focusing back on our clients and really leaning into, at doing our work with our
Wow.
clients. Yeah.
Okay, so I hear your leadership right there. You can switch this whole dynamic by being consciously aware as you've become in this 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. Well, we are going to have you go off camera unless there's anything you want to say before you go. And then Ken's going to do a debrief on what we did.
Just thank you. Thank you for this moment and this opportunity.
You're so welcome.
Linda, thanks
Thank
for
you.
volunteering. You know, it's a lot to volunteer with a group of strangers, right? Oh, I see a heart going up there. Yeah, you're getting some love there for that. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do a little bit of debriefing of this. And thank you, Joni, for doing this.
Yeah. My pleasure.
All right, here's the question. What are some skills that you saw that Joni used? And type them in chat, right? Don't worry about getting the right words to describe them. I'll kind of translate it a little into the language of coaching and how we describe those things. But what did you see? All right, so Emery says, Joni guided her to the answer rather than dispensing advice, right? Yes, we actually have a thing that we say in coaching that kind of a skill. We say the agenda comes from the client. It's not Joni's way to do it. It's the only thing that we do is that kind of guiding, allowing, empowering, right? Oh my, Chris wrote a whole bunch of skills. Thank you. Look at all these skills. Fantastic. She reflected Linda's movements. We actually say there's a bit of mirroring that we do there, right? Thanks, Deborah. Rena said, probing questions and clarification questions, right? What we call them is we call them powerful questions, right? A powerful question is short, often just begins with what? And it opens things up. It's not a yes, no question, right? Opens things up, sparks insight. I wrote a few of them down. You know, like, what do you want to get out of this session, right? How will you know if you're successful? She mentioned graciousness. And Joni said, Joni, I don't know about you, but when I teach, I always say, I love those little 2-word questions. Powerful questions don't have to be super intricate and smart, right? Sometimes they're super simple. She says she wants to be gracious. Joni said, what's gracious? It was that simple. And it actually, I don't know if you noticed, everyone, but it actually kind of opened something up for Linda in a way. So a lot of questions, a lot of open-ended questions, right, Jesse? Mirroring body language, Nia, gaining trust up front. Yeah, that thing we did with all of you a little bit with 3 little agreements, designing the alliance. So when we do a longer coaching relationship, we actually take some good amount of time to do that. And in a demo here, Joni took, a minute or 2 to ask, what do you need to feel safe here, or some version of that, right? And just checking in. That gains trust, right? If somebody actually cares about creating a safe environment for you. Also, Rena said active listening and paraphrasing. Yeah, so two big skills in there. Obviously listening, right? Really listening to what's being said. And we also say, Joni, I heard you very much listening to what's not being said. What's being said with the hands. It's like, oh, you're going like this. What's that? Again, an example of a very simple question, right? Paraphrasing what you're doing in a way, that mirroring is a little bit of paraphrasing, or saying, you said this, what is that? And asking a question about it afterwards. Really beautiful example of that. Chris, I'm going to look at the book you wrote here on skills. Thank you so much for just copying those in. Establishing expectation, mirroring, maintaining eye contact, active listening, keeping present. Yeah. Rather than diving into the story, that's interesting. I would say that's like holding the focus, right? You hold the focus. As coach, it wasn't Joni's job to find out a lot about it. No one put this down, or at least I haven't seen it yet. But Joni, you asked her to bottom line, right?
Yes.
Often we ask somebody to bottom line. And I love the way you said, when she said the simple phrase she said about what she wants from the coaching, you said, that's enough. Because the coach doesn't, for all of you, as coaches, unlike an expert where we're coming in to consult, and Joni and I have done our share of consulting out in the world where you can get paid for that too. But unlike an expert where you have to know the details, in coaching, as the coach, you don't need to know things. The person who needs to know is the person you're coaching. So beautiful. So Chris, thank you for all those great things. It ended with going to action with a concrete next step. And encouragement, yeah. One of the things we say in that encouragement is we say it's championing. It's the coach saying what, in this case, what she knows is possible for this person. And we come from a place, it's almost a foundational principle of coaching, that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, that they're not broken, and that they're capable of a lot more than they say. So I've just talked a crazy amount, Joni. What, what do you want to add here? Because you used all kinds of skills in addition to what I said.
I would say that the rapport or the trust is probably the most important. Um, I felt Linda was very open and receptive as a coachee,
Mhm.
um, an ideal coachee. And really, it's organic. So I did not have a template. I did not have a plan. I didn't know what topic she was going to bring up. Uh, so really, what I was listening for was I was tracking her energy.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, what really lit her up
Mhm.
versus kind of I was watching for when it was like tightening up.
Right. And
Yeah.
we have a skill that we call articulating, kind of articulate. That's some of that playback that you see of what's happening. And Joni did a lot of that articulating, followed by a question. Um, Chan Yi pointed out something really essential that you did here throughout, which is ask permission, particularly
Mm,
when it's the first time you're coaching somebody, right? To create safety, Joni, you asked permission in lots of ways. Can I ask you a provocative question? Right.
mm.
Now, if you've been coaching me for a while, you don't have to ask me. I'm expecting. That's what I want from you. I know, Joni. Right. But the first time you're asking somebody, it's like, this is a tough question. You were essentially kind of turning it back on her. In what way are you the
Yeah.
way right?
Yes. Yes.
Provocative, yeah. Simple, powerful question again, and asking permission to create safety in asking it. That way, Linda actually has the possibility of saying, like, I don't know, like, no, I don't want to have that question, right? Really give
Actually,
her the
Ken,
power. Yeah.
could I just this is maybe a little bit more advanced, but oftentimes the coachee will come and they want to talk about the other person. And what can I do to change that other person? And I noticed that Linda was, very open to looking at herself. But that's the key. You can't coach somebody who's not in the room. So if people are wondering why didn't we go there, let's talk about the dynamic. Actually, it's got to come back to she has the agency for herself.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Maybe a little advanced, but really clearly exhibited in what you did here. There's one other skill I just want to mention, and then we
Yeah.
probably can move on and see if there's questions. And that is acknowledgement. So the coactive skill of acknowledgement is it's not just articulating what's going on. Somebody achieved something and you say, you achieved that. In English, we would say that's acknowledgement, right? We call that more articulating what's happening, kind of telling people. It's a little bit of that playback. One of the things Joni did at the end is you actually said, I took a lot of notes, you are authentic, you know, uh, you're a personal learner, you have a growth mindset, right? We call those acknowledgments. It's where the coach, Joni in this case, acknowledged who the client was being. Who is she being, right? It's very powerful. It's something it takes a kind of boldness, Joni, to do that, right? And um, it also takes a bit of intuition because you don't have a book written out that says everything about Linda that you needed to know, right? Where did you get it? I
Yeah.
guess you got it just from you just kind of picked it up, you saw it, you noticed it right in the moment.
Yes. Yes. I thought she was really demonstrating these qualities.
Right, right.
Yeah. And
And you
that's,
dare to say it.
yeah, it feels vulnerable.
Yeah. Vulnerable for you as coach to say it.
Yeah, because the person could say like, oh, you're just making that up, or you just are trying to make me feel good, or
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful, really, really powerful. And didn't Joni make it look simple, everyone? So I just want to say, Joni, you are a master coach. You made it look simple. And yes, there's some detail to it. And this is what we do at CTI, right? We help people find those simple questions and those simple ways of connecting that really empower somebody to spark insight and find their own answers. And there's Emily. Emily, what do you want to add here?
Nice debrief, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Every time I do this on a webinar, I just get chills watching the magic happen. And I know I call it magic all the time, but that really is what it feels like to sit and observe. So thank you both so much. I would love it, participants, if we could share a little gratitude, especially for Linda, who was so incredibly
Yes.
brave. So feel free to drop some gratitude in the chat. Thank you so much. And then if it's okay with the two of you, I'll move on. I've got a few more slides, and then we'll circle back here in a few minutes for some Q&A.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All
We'll
right.
catch up
Thanks
with
so
you later.
much. Thank you, Joni, and thank you, Ken. And again, seriously, thank you, Linda. What you did today was very brave. And I don't know if I would have volunteered on my first webinar. So thank you. We greatly appreciate you helping bring the coactive reality to life. So let me share my slides again here and kind of get us moving. I want to share some testimonials with you. These are testimonials from real coach training graduates, things that they had to say after their experience in our program. The first one says, through CTI, I went from wanting to be a coach to being a trained and certified coactive coach. The next says, I have the confidence to go out and change the world, which I don't know. I love that one. I'm sort of a warm and fuzzy sort of person, and that one just gives me goosebumps and I love it. And then lastly, the CTI fundamentals course was the thing I needed to affirm that I am made to be a coach. So notice that person wasn't even speaking about the entire program. They were talking just about that first course, fundamentals, which we'll get to more on that in just a little bit. But fundamentals is a great way to tiptoe your way into the coactive experience. And that class even comes with a money back guarantee. So again, more on that in just a moment. I would love to take a moment and add to this slide that when I went through fundamentals, I'll be very honest, I went into it a little bit jaded. In my past life, I was a classroom teacher for a number of years. And I thought, oh, I've designed training and I've attended training. Like, how great could this possibly be? And I went to my husband that evening and I said, if I had a hat, I would have to eat that hat right now because it was so transformative for me. It was wildly engaging. I felt empowered to step into these new skills that I was learning, to practice in a safe way from the very first day of the very first course. So I will say that fundamentals was very transformational. And I was grateful for the experience, which leads us into the coaching pathway. Let me tell you a little bit about how our coaching pathway all breaks down. So the very first course is called Fundamentals. It's a 2.5-day course. We pride ourselves at Coactive on trying to be a very flexible adult learning program, meaning that we offer our courses in as many different ways as we can to try to make them attainable for everyone. So we have courses that are on weekdays, weekends, 4 different time zones around the globe, virtual options online, some in-person options around the world as well. So that first course is stage 1. It's called Fundamentals, and it's 2.5 days long. Stage 2 is what we call our intermediate courses. Those are 4 courses. They're each 3 days long. You'll see that it says 4 months there. That's because our typical cadence that we work with folks to set up as they're registering for their classes is 1 3-day course per month for 4 months. That said, though, you don't have to do it that way. We can speed it up or slow it down depending on what your life requires based on your calendar. And then stage 3 is called certification. That is a 25-week certification program. During that time, you'll meet with a cohort of your peers and a certified leader once per week. And then also you are logging practice coaching hours during that time and working on other things as well. If you are interested in certification, if that is a big deal to you, we actually have an entire second webinar that is specifically about certification. So I would encourage you to check that out sometime as well. Again, I want to just reiterate that we understand that this is an adult learning program. So we offer a ton of flexibility in terms of what courses we offer, when we offer them, how we offer them. So I would encourage you to reach out to us, sales@coactive.com, or pull up the course schedule online and check it out for yourself. I think that you'll find that there are courses available that can work for everybody. And like I said before, that first course, Fundamentals, does come with a money back guarantee. So if you take the course and you feel like, this is really just not it, this is not it for me, this is not what I was expecting for whatever reason, we would ask for your feedback as to why, and we would expect you to attend the entire course, but we would honor that money back guarantee in the event that it just isn't the right fit for you. Moving on. At the beginning of the call today, many of you said that you want to become a professionally certified coach or a professional certified coach. And so you may be wondering about our alignment with the ICF. So how to go on and get not only our credential, the CPCC, but then perhaps go on to the ICF as well and obtain their credential. Well, here on the screen, you can see we have one of the industry's most rigorous and comprehensive training programs. We are fully ICF accredited, aligned with their standards. The path to the ACC is clear. Completion of our program qualifies you to apply for their ICF Level 1, the ACC or Associate Certified Coach credential. You get to learn from a global faculty, so folks all around the world who are dedicated to the mastery of this craft. When you are finished with our program, the one thing you'll have to do for the ICF is sit for a short ethics quiz, which is an ICF requirement. But other than that, you will have done all the learning, the mentoring, logged your coaching hours with CTI. And so that makes the pathway truly seamless. It is as aligned as it can possibly be. Like I said before, if certification is something that's important to you, I would say to please either scan that QR code and sign up for a time to chat with an advisor or shoot us an email, sales@coactive.com, to get more specific information. And then again, like I said, we have another webinar that is certification program specific. So if you're looking to get much more in-depth information on that, I would encourage you to look up those dates on the website as well. We do offer a bundling discount. So you can see it says save up to $750 by bundling your courses. I'm now really excited to announce or say that we are offering a 0% interest payment plan on bundled courses now. So you really do get the most bang for your buck. It's like signing up for the courses a la carte so that you can pay for one at a time. However, you can sign up for all of them, get yourself in the dates and times that work for your calendar and your life, still pay for them essentially one at a time by being put on the installment plan, and there's no interest added. So that's a really awesome opportunity that we have right now. Additionally, there on the left, you'll see it says that for a limited time, we're offering a free 3-day coactive leadership online workshop. That's a $1,200 value. I was actually thinking a lot about Linda as she was talking during the live demo about her leadership abilities. I was like, oh, well, she's going to be very interested in this here in a few minutes. But when you purchase or when you register for fundamentals through certification or fundamentals through the intermediate courses, by the end of June, you'll qualify for that free 3-day leadership workshop. So again, if that is something that's of interest to you, I would encourage you to scan that QR code and get signed up for a time to chat with somebody on our team. You can see on the right-hand side, it does kind of break down the pricing for you as far as the pre-certification, so just fundamentals through Synergy, so fundamentals through the intermediate bundle, or the full certification pathway. And you can see the difference in price for the online version versus the in-person version. All right, so at this time, now, if you have any lingering questions that you have not gotten the answers to already, I would encourage you, please drop those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen, near the bottom center. I would invite Joni and Ken to come back on and hang out with me for a little bit longer. Hopefully we can answer your questions, perhaps get some good conversation going in the time that we have remaining today. We've got just about 10 minutes. So hi guys, welcome back.
Hi, great.
I see a question there already, Emily, from Marin says, will participants during the intermediate program already practice coaching others? Yeah, actually, right away in fundamentals, right from the very start, you coach others. And one of the things people say a lot when we were talking about the things people said about fundamentals, we hear this across the board, is that people come to learn coaching skills. However, in order to learn coaching skills, you need to coach and you end up getting coached. And you get this side benefit of lots of coaching. And people, almost all of us, certainly I don't know about you, Joni, I was certainly surprised. I know, Emily, you said it too, at how valuable it was to receive that coaching.
Yeah, it's like you get a free second course, which is like a personal professional development course, because you get a lot of things resolved as you're going through the course. And the other thing that I was surprised about is that the skills are immediately applicable. Like as soon as I left the course, I could actually apply it in my world.
Mm, beautiful.
Right. I see another question here that says, what supports and learning opportunities are there after the program finishes and after ICF certification?
Well, CTI offers a business building program free with the price of fundamentals. So once you've done fundamentals, you can do any of the 6 workshops there are. They're online. We call them webinars. However, everyone's on camera on them. I happen to have created them with my dear friend, Leslie Lipinski. And we do a couple of those every month. So once you've done one class with CTI, you are welcome to come to those during the courses, during the certification program, or even after the program. So that's a wonderful way. It tends to be a great community of people building their business together.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see, I've got another one here. It says, if you've completed coaching coursework elsewhere, is there a way to transition and become certified with CTI?
Yes. We are a matriculating program, though, and we're accredited through the ICF, International Coaching Federation. So it does mean that you start at the fundamentals and go all the way through. So you do the fundamentals, then the intermediate courses, then you do the 6-month certification program. One thing I should let you know is that once you have a CPCC, which is your certification designation, you have it for life. Whereas when you get the ACC that Emily was talking about, you have to renew every 3 years, and you have to keep your hours up so that you can renew it. So that's another plus. And the CPCC has a lot of cachet because so many people have heard of Coactive.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see a question from Samantha. What's the maximum ideal time frame from fundamentals to synergy? Does synergy fulfill the requirements for the classroom training hours? And then for the certification, Emily, I'll say my answer and then you tell me the official answer because
Sure.
Emily is an official answer. But what I tell students when they ask about this is CTI has a year-long program to learn coaching. Why is it a year? Because once you've done fundamentals, the typical pace at which people do classes doesn't have to be that, but it's about 1 course a month we do. And we recommend that you practice a little coaching in between. You can do it alongside your day job. And then same for the certification. Once you've done the 5 classes, then you can do this 6-month, almost 6-month, 25-week certification program.
Yeah.
I think that mirrors the official answer, if you will. We typically tell folks in the sales team, we talk about how there's this 11-month cadence, again, because it's 1 course per month for 5 months and then a 6-month certification program. So typically about 11 months. But then I always put that little asterisk on there and say, if you need to slow it down because life happens, if you need to do a course every 2 months or every 3 months or something like that, or perhaps your employer is sponsoring you to go through the program and they won't pay for more than 1 or 2 courses per year, we can make that happen for you. On the flip side, if you're looking to do a really rapid career transition and you have the time and the flexibility to take courses more closely together, we can accommodate that as well. But I would say the typical pacing that I see is approximately 11 months to get through the program.
Great, Emily. I will say when I started, I also was a little bit of a doubting person about CTI. I was like, really, this is really good. People already told me I was a good coach and I had no training. So I took fundamentals. Within about 1 hour, I realized, oh my gosh, this is good. I didn't like it. I was really surprised. So then I signed up for the next class called Fulfillment the next weekend. I did it the next weekend. And then I jumped into my life and I realized, oh my God, this is too fast. I need to practice this. So then I ended up waiting several months before I did the next one. So I had a kind of jagged thing. It took me a couple years to get through the classes. And I don't know if some people say, would you do it differently? It works well no matter what pace you do it at.
Mhm. And I
Yeah.
know that a different pace can work for different people. Just like you said, perhaps there's an opportunity where you have the bandwidth and you can take a couple classes essentially back to back. And then you need some time to marinate on what you've learned and practice. And perhaps life gets in the way a little bit, your day job, your kids, your commitments. And so I think that's one of my favorite things in working with prospective students is figuring out the calendar that's going to work for them and knowing that we offer enough courses throughout the month, every month, that you're going to find something that will work for you, even if you have to take a gap or stack a couple close together. It's definitely doable.
Yes, I would say trust your intuition and trust, the process, because there's no one right way, which is what our secret sauce is actually in our model, is that there isn't one right way to coach a person. For example, if Ken coached Linda, it would look completely different. They'd probably get to a different outcome, but for Linda's development, there's more than one answer.
Mm.
So we are organic in how we coach, meaning we can coach any person at any time on any topic using our model. So it's not like a template. It's how do you really read a person eye to eye in that moment and follow what is needed. It's really an art.
I have to say, Joni, if you were not peeking ahead at the questions, then your intuition is strong because there was a question asking, what would you say is Coactive's special sauce with respect to coach training?
Which is I think why we're the gold standard. But the other reason is it evokes the transformation of somebody's mindset
Mm-hmm.
because we're partnering with another individual in that moment so closely.
Mhm.
Ken, would you say something different?
And I agree completely. I also say there's another component that we could add in here, which is for me one of the biggest things that differentiates CTI from some other coaching programs is our belief in the power of the moment. So we actually, a lot of coaching is about slowing people down to kind of look inside and what's happening inside you as you're saying all this. You did a little bit of that, Joni, with Linda and just asking her what's happening as she went. A lot of times coaching becomes very transactional, and it's like if they do this, then you do that. If they do this, then you do that. And that you can get from a book. I just want to say what we have to offer does not come in the shape of a book, and it balances who you're being with what you're doing in a very, very profound way.
Thank you. We are starting to get close on our time together today. So I would love to, if we can, breeze through a couple more questions,
Sure.
but I do want to say to all the participants, if we don't get to your question, please do shoot us a message, sales@coactive.com, or scan that QR code that I'll have back up here on the screen in a moment, and connect with us. We are here. We want to answer your questions. I know it says what, if any, education is given on starting or growing your own coaching business. Ken spoke to that we have the series of webinar opportunities. Let's see, are there any in-person meetup opportunities? What are ways to connect with alumni community after the program? There's a really strong Facebook community that exists. I know that when I was in my first course, we actually created a Google Doc together with all of our contact information so that we could keep in touch. So I know that opportunities definitely
There's
exist.
others also, Emily. We don't have time to go into it, but there are other things. Yeah.
Mhm. So I think this will probably, unfortunately, be the last question for today, but it says, where can we see who the instructors will be for each course? If you reach out to a sales advisor, a customer success advisor, we can click into some of the behind the scenes info. And if an instructor has been assigned to a particular class, we can absolutely let you know who that is. Um, and other than that, we are just about at time. So let me throw my screen back up here for everyone with a few last minute resources. I want to thank you all for being here today. We couldn't do it without you. We look forward to connecting with each one of you soon. Please do reach out to us at sales@coactive.com or scan that QR code to sign up for a time to chat with one of us. I'd love to share some gratitude again for Kat behind the scenes. Thank you so much. For Ken and Joni, thank you for your expertise always and your grace. And Linda for being so brave. Thank you to everyone. No matter where you're calling in from today, we hope that you are well, and we hope to connect with you soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hope to see you in class.